Generating consistent, high-quality business opportunities, well, is the lifeblood of literally any company. I mean, it is the engine that keeps the lights on and the payroll funded. But actually building the machinery to make that happen, that can be completely exhausting. It's kind of like trying to build a highly complex sports car entirely from scratch, when honestly, all you really want to do is just drive it to your destination. So, welcome to today's Explainer, where we are zeroing in on a really interesting case study outlined in our source material today, the MHN Rajput system by Rajput Digital Marketing. We're going to objectively unpack their core offering, which they describe as a completely done-for-you lead generation system. We'll analyze exactly what that entails, how their proposed workflow is structured, and the underlying strategy behind basically taking all that heavy lifting of digital marketing entirely off a business owner's shoulders. And you know, whether you choose to outsource your marketing or build it all in-house, the mechanics of this system offer a truly fascinating look into modern lead generation.
So I want you to really think about this core premise for a second. What if your entire lead engine was just built for you? If you are a business owner, you're already intimately familiar with wearing a dozen different hats. On any given Tuesday, you're the CEO, the HR department, the chief problem solver, and let's face it, maybe even the janitor. And then on top of all of that, you're suddenly expected to be a digital marketing expert too. You know you need engaging content, you know you need automated follow-ups and highly targeted ads. But the reality for most entrepreneurs usually involves, well, sitting at a computer at 2 in the morning, frantically Googling how to connect an ad account API to an email platform. The technical barriers alone stop so many businesses from ever truly scaling simply because the friction of setup is way too high. Okay, let's dive into this and look at how the source material proposes to completely eliminate that friction.
The source material sets up this incredibly stark contrast between the agency's responsibility and the client's ultimate experience. The foundational promise here is a crystal-clear division of labor. On one side of the equation, the agency is tasked with building the entire lead engine. And we aren't just talking about throwing up a couple of social media posts here. The documentation describes a serious heavy lifting phase that encompasses ground-up content creation, complex ad management, and intricate CRM automation. Now, for those of us who might not be deep in the weeds of sales tech every single day, CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management Software. Basically, it's the digital brain of a business where all your client data, communications, and follow-ups are stored and automated. And actually setting one up correctly, it is a notoriously massive headache. But then, on the other side of the equation, the client experience is designed to be fully plug-and-play. By bypassing that messy technical build phase entirely, the client's sole responsibility shifts directly to the end result, which is just managing and closing the incoming qualified leads.
Now, we need to anchor our attention on one highly specific metric detailed in the source material, and that is 30 days. Rajput Digital Marketing claims that this entire fully integrated system is deployed and begins delivering qualified leads in just a 30-day window. To really put that into perspective, we have to look at the traditional marketing agency timeline. Usually, month 1 is entirely consumed by onboarding and high-level strategy. Month 2 might involve, drafting some copy and creating a few graphic assets. And it often isn't until month 3 or 4 that the technical integrations are finally dialed in and the first ads actually go live. So when you consider the sheer amount of technical setup, asset creation, and strategy required to launch a comprehensive marketing engine, a 30-day turnaround is an incredibly rapid deployment. It heavily emphasizes speed to market, really aiming to get a business out of that theoretical planning phase and into the practical execution phase way faster than the industry standard.
Deconstructing the done-for-you build-out. Because obviously, you can't just snap your fingers and magically conjure a fully automated marketing machine overnight, right? So how exactly do they claim to pull off that rapid 30-day timeline? Let's deconstruct the specific deliverables.
The source provides a very specific list of agency deliverables, basically taking us on a chronological journey of a business undergoing this transformation. Step 1, they actually visit your business. This is a pretty notable detail, as so many digital setups today are entirely remote and totally cookie-cutter. Having a physical presence allows them to capture the authentic culture and environment of the company. Step 2 tackles the messaging. They create your scripts. This directly solves that dreaded blank page syndrome, where owners just stare at a camera having absolutely no idea what to say. Step 3, they edit your videos. Anyone who's tried to chop up footage for social media knows that video editing is an absolute black hole for time and productivity, so outsourcing this is a massive operational shift. Step 4, they set up your ads and integrate full tracking. This is essentially the math behind the magic, ensuring every single click and conversion is monitored for data-driven adjustments down the line. And finally, step 5, they build your CRM. They put that vital infrastructure in place, the net that catches the fish, if you will, organizing and managing every single lead those ads generate. And this brilliantly illustrates just how comprehensive the MHN Rajput service is, all while the client remains completely hands-off.
But here's the real kicker. What happens after that 30-day sprint when the system actually goes live? A very common pitfall in the agency world is what we call the black box problem. An agency builds this wonderfully complex system, but they hold all the keys, basically leaving the client completely dependent on them forever because they don't even understand how their own marketing works. Well, the source material addresses this directly, explicitly promising to, quote, train your team so you can run and scale your new lead engine with complete confidence. This is a huge, vital takeaway from their methodology. The ultimate value of the system described isn't just that initial rapid setup, it is the post-launch handoff. By prioritizing dedicated team training, the goal is to fully empower the business owner and their staff with the knowledge to eventually take the reins, run the daily operations, and scale the machinery entirely independently.
Which brings us to a final, somewhat philosophical question about how you run your business. Are you ready to stop building and start getting leads? Whether you decide to utilize a comprehensive, done-for-you system like the one outlined in today's case study, or you choose to roll up your sleeves and build the whole shebang in-house, the friction of that setup phase remains the single biggest hurdle to scaling any operation. It really forces you to ask yourself a fundamental question about resource allocation. How much time is your business currently losing to the build phase when that exact same energy could be spent actually closing deals and serving your clients? Understanding the mechanics of a fully delegated system like this provides a fantastic framework for evaluating your own operational bottlenecks. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.